My beloved child, listen carefully, don't skip this message, because there is something your heart has been trying to understand for a long time. You have asked questions in silence that you were too afraid to speak out loud. You have wondered whether your soulmate is thinking about you, whether the connection you feel has meaning, and whether the strange moments, unexpected memories, dreams, and coincidences you've experienced are pointing towards something greater. But before these next 2 minutes pass, I want you to understand something important. This is not about forcing a sign or predicting an exact event. It is about slowing down long enough to recognize the guidance, wisdom, and clarity that may already be appearing in your life. Stay until the end, because the sign you've been waiting for may not look the way you imagined. There are moments when the heart becomes tired of uncertainty. You can pretend you're fine during the day, keep yourself busy, laugh with other people, and continue with your responsibilities, but when everything becomes quiet at night, the same question returns: what is happening with my love life? Maybe there is someone you cannot completely forget. Maybe their name still appears in your thoughts unexpectedly. Maybe a song reminds you of them. Maybe you find yourself remembering an old conversation and wondering what they really meant. Maybe you have asked God for clarity so many times that you stopped asking out loud. You simply sit quietly and hope that somehow the answer will find you. And perhaps this message is not here to give you a magical guarantee. Perhaps it is here to remind you that clarity doesn't always arrive as fireworks. Sometimes it arrives as peace. Sometimes it arrives as a closed door you finally stop trying to reopen. Sometimes it arrives as the courage to walk away from confusion. Sometimes it arrives as a conversation that finally reveals the truth. And sometimes the sign you've been waiting for is simply the realization that you deserve a love that doesn't require you to constantly wonder where you stand. Your heart may have been searching for confirmation, but what if what you truly need is discernment? There is a difference. Confirmation tells you what you want to hear. Discernment helps you recognize what is actually good for you. And when it comes to love, that difference matters. Because you can deeply care about someone and still recognize that the relationship isn't healthy. You can miss someone and still choose not to return. You can believe there was something meaningful between you and someone while accepting that they may not be ready to build something stable. You can love someone and still protect your peace. That is not giving up on love. That is wisdom. Maybe the sign you've been waiting for isn't a message from your soulmate. Maybe it is the moment you stop accepting mixed signals. Maybe it is the day you realize you don't have to decode someone's behavior to know whether they value you. Maybe it is the morning you wake up and notice that your first thought isn't about the person who hurt you. Maybe that is the sign. Maybe healing itself is the answer. Think about how much energy you have spent trying to understand another person's heart. You have replayed conversations. You have analyzed pauses. You have wondered why they pulled away. You have asked whether they still care. You have imagined what they might say if they were completely honest. You may have even created entire conversations in your mind because there were things you never got to say in real life. And I understand why. When we don't have closure, the mind tries to create it. But sometimes closure doesn't come from another person's explanation. Sometimes closure comes from accepting that you may never receive the explanation you wanted. And that acceptance can be incredibly freeing. If your soulmate is truly meant to be part of your life, you don't need to destroy yourself trying to force the connection. A healthy relationship requires two people. Two choices. Two voices. Two people willing to communicate and show up. You cannot carry an entire relationship alone. You cannot love for two people. You cannot communicate for two people. You cannot heal for two people. And you cannot build a future with someone who refuses to participate in it. That may be one of the strongest pieces of spiritual guidance you receive today. Stop measuring love by how intensely you feel. Start measuring it by how safely you are treated. Intensity can be temporary. Consistency reveals character. Someone can make your heart race and still be wrong for you. Someone can make you nervous and still not be your destiny. Someone can say beautiful words and still fail to keep their promises. But someone who consistently respects you, listens to you, communicates with you, and supports your growth is showing you something far more valuable than words. They're showing you character. And perhaps your future soulmate will not arrive as a dramatic sign. Maybe they will arrive as a person whose behavior makes you feel safe. Maybe the first sign will be simple. You don't have to chase them. You don't have to convince them. You don't have to compete. You don't have to guess. You can simply be yourself. Imagine that. Imagine meeting someone and not feeling like you have to perform. Not feeling like you have to become prettier, smarter, quieter, louder, or more interesting just to keep their attention. Imagine someone who wants to know the real you. Your awkward moments. Your serious moments. Your dreams. Your fears. Your ambitions. Your imperfections. And instead of using those things against you, they treat them with care. That is the kind of love worth recognizing. And perhaps you're being prepared for it now. Maybe your current season is teaching you how to stop confusing love with anxiety. Maybe you are learning that peace is not boring. Maybe you are learning that healthy communication is more attractive than emotional games. Maybe you are learning that a person who truly wants you will not intentionally keep you confused. This doesn't mean relationships are always easy. They aren't. Even healthy couples disagree. Even healthy people make mistakes. But there is a difference between normal imperfection and repeated emotional instability. Healthy love doesn't require perfection. It requires responsibility. Someone can make a mistake and still be a good partner if they acknowledge it, apologize, and change their behavior. Someone can disagree with you and still respect you. Someone can have a difficult day and still communicate. That is maturity. And maybe that is the sign you should look for. Not perfection. Maturity. Not obsession. Consistency. Not dramatic promises. Reliable actions. The 2-minute countdown may make you feel as though something has to happen immediately. But take a breath. You don't have to panic. Your life is not controlled by a stopwatch. If a message comes, respond thoughtfully. If someone contacts you, don't immediately assume it means forever. If someone new appears, take time to know them. If an old person returns, look at their behavior instead of only listening to your memories. Because sometimes people return because they're lonely. Sometimes they return because they genuinely changed. Those are not the same thing. Your wisdom is learning to tell the difference. So if someone from your past returns, ask yourself: are they offering clarity? Are they taking responsibility? Are they consistent? Are they respecting my boundaries? Are they willing to build something real? If the answer is yes, perhaps there is a conversation worth having. If the answer is no, you don't have to reopen a wound simply because someone knocked on the door. And if you're waiting for someone you've never met, don't spend your days trying to predict their arrival. Prepare for them by becoming emotionally healthy yourself. Learn to communicate. Learn to listen. Learn what your boundaries are. Learn what your values are. Learn what kind of relationship you actually want. Because sometimes people say they want a soulmate when what they really want is someone to rescue them from loneliness. But a soulmate relationship, in the healthiest sense, should not be an escape from yourself. It should be a partnership between two people who are willing to grow. And perhaps the spiritual lesson here is that your soulmate isn't coming to complete a missing piece of you. They're coming, if and when the relationship happens, to share a life with the person you have already become. That distinction is powerful. You are already worthy. You are already whole as a person. You don't need another human being to validate your existence. Love can enrich your life without defining your worth. And when you understand that, you become much harder to manipulate. You stop accepting breadcrumbs. You stop begging for attention. You stop chasing people who disappear. You stop calling uncertainty a sign that you should try harder. Instead, you start asking: does this relationship bring out the best in me? Do I feel respected? Can I communicate honestly? Can I be myself? Do our values align? Does this person treat other people with kindness? Those questions can reveal more than any mystical prediction. Because character is visible. It may take time, but it reveals itself. So maybe the sign you've been waiting for is not hidden in the sky. Maybe it is hidden in someone's behavior. Maybe it is hidden in your own peace. Maybe it is hidden in the door that closed. Maybe it is hidden in the new opportunity that appeared after you stopped chasing the old one. Maybe the sign is that you're finally becoming comfortable with uncertainty. You no longer need to know everything today. You can trust yourself enough to wait for clarity. That is strength. And if faith is part of your life, perhaps you can bring that uncertainty to God without demanding a specific answer. You can say: guide me toward what is healthy. Give me wisdom to recognize what is real. Help me release what isn't meant for me. Give me courage to accept the truth, even when it isn't what I hoped for. That is a powerful prayer. Because sometimes we ask for the thing we want when what we really need is guidance toward what is good. Maybe your prayer isn't supposed to force a specific person into your life. Maybe it is supposed to lead you toward the right kind of relationship. And that relationship may look different from what you imagined. Perhaps the person won't have the appearance you expected. Perhaps they won't arrive through the circumstances you predicted. Perhaps they will have a completely different background. But when you talk to them, you will feel something simple. Respect. Comfort. curiosity, safety. And perhaps that will be enough. You won't need to create a fantasy around them. You'll simply get to know them. And slowly, something real can grow. That is far more beautiful than trying to force a destiny. So as these final moments of this message approach, let your heart become quiet. Put down the need to know. Put down the pressure. Put down the fear that you are running out of time. You are not running out of time. Your life is happening now. And love can be part of it without becoming the only thing that matters. If you're single, live. If you're healing, heal. If you're in love, communicate. If you're confused, slow down. If someone is hurting you, protect yourself. If someone is showing you genuine care, allow yourself to receive it. And if someone is returning from your past, watch their actions. The sign you need may be right there. Not in their words. In their consistency. Not in their promises. In their behavior. Not in their dramatic return. In their willingness to stay. And if someone new arrives, don't be afraid to take your time. You don't need to decide immediately whether they're your soulmate. You only need to ask whether you enjoy getting to know them. Whether they respect you. Whether you feel safe. Whether your values align. Let time reveal character. Time is not your enemy. Time is one of the greatest truth-tellers in relationships. So don't rush what needs to develop naturally. And don't delay what you already know is unhealthy. That balance is wisdom. Perhaps this is what your heart needed to hear. You were searching for a sign. But the sign was never supposed to control your decision. Your choices still matter. Your boundaries still matter. Your discernment still matters. Your free will still matters. And your future isn't something you simply watch happen. You participate in it. Every day. Every decision. Every boundary. Every conversation. Every person you allow close. You are shaping it. So if your soulmate is somewhere out there, let them become who they need to become. And you become who you need to become. When your paths cross, let it be because two healthy choices met at the right time, not because fear forced either person into the relationship. And if you already know someone who feels deeply significant to you, don't spend your life waiting for a sign while refusing to have an honest conversation. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is simply tell the truth. I care about you. I want clarity. I need consistency. I don't know where this is going. Can we talk? Those words can change lives. Not because they're magical. Because they're honest. And honesty creates possibilities that guessing never can. So perhaps this is your sign. Stop guessing. Start observing. Stop chasing. Start choosing. Stop fearing the future. Start building it. Stop asking whether someone is destined for you. Ask whether the relationship is healthy enough to deserve your heart. That question will protect you. And perhaps, one day, the answer will be yes. You'll meet someone and realize you don't have to force anything. The relationship will grow naturally. You'll have difficult conversations, but they won't destroy the connection. You'll disagree, but you'll still respect each other. You'll make mistakes, but you'll repair them. You'll have fears, but you won't use them as weapons. And slowly, you'll realize that this isn't the kind of love you used to chase. It's calmer, deeper, more grounded, more real. And you'll understand why the previous relationships couldn't last. They were teaching you what this one needed. So don't resent the past. Learn from it. Don't worship the future. Prepare for it. And don't neglect the present. Live it. Because the present is the only part of your story you can actually touch. The future will arrive when it arrives. And when it does, you want to meet it as someone who has lived fully, not someone who spent every day waiting for permission to be happy. My beloved child, if you have been asking God for a sign about your soulmate, let this be the reminder. You don't need to force love. You don't need to chase destiny. You don't need to decode every coincidence. You need wisdom. You need patience. You need courage. And you need to trust yourself enough to walk away from anything that repeatedly steals your peace. Maybe your soulmate will come soon. Maybe later. Maybe the person you think is your soulmate will surprise you by becoming something completely different. You don't know. But you can still have hope. Hope doesn't require certainty. Hope simply says, something beautiful is still possible. Hold on to that. Not as a guarantee. As an invitation to keep living. Keep growing. Keep meeting people. Keep learning. Keep loving yourself. And when the right connection appears, don't be so focused on the sign that you miss the person. Look at their character. Look at their actions. Look at the way they treat you when nobody is watching. That is where the truth lives. Maybe your sign will be a message. Maybe a conversation. Maybe an unexpected meeting. Maybe a new beginning. Or maybe your sign will be something much quieter. The sudden peace you feel when you finally realize you don't need the old relationship anymore. Whatever it is, let it guide you toward health, truth, and self-respect. And now, as this message comes to its final moments, I want you to remember one thing above everything else. You are not behind in love. You are not forgotten. You are not too late. You are not unworthy. You don't have to compete with anyone else's timeline. Your life is uniquely yours. And if love is meant to become part of your next chapter, let it arrive in a way that honors who you are becoming. Don't settle for someone who only knows how to reach you when they're lonely. Wait for someone who knows how to stay when life becomes difficult. Don't settle for someone who makes you question your worth. Choose someone who makes respect feel natural. Don't settle for someone who gives you occasional attention. Choose someone who gives you consistent effort. Don't settle for someone who promises a future. Choose someone who participates in building one. And perhaps one day, you'll realize that the sign you were waiting for wasn't a number, a dream, a coincidence, or a sudden message. The sign was the transformation happening inside you. You became wiser. You became stronger. You became more discerning. You became less willing to abandon yourself. And because of that, you became ready for a healthier kind of love. So breathe. Release the pressure. Let the 2-minute countdown end. Your life doesn't end when the timer reaches 0. Your story continues. Your possibilities continue. Your capacity for love continues. And perhaps the next chapter is already forming in ways you cannot see. Maybe the person you will love is also growing somewhere. Maybe they are learning. Maybe they are healing. Maybe they are preparing. And one day, when your paths finally cross, neither of you will need a dramatic sign. You will simply recognize the peace that comes from being with someone who genuinely respects you. And you'll look back at this season and understand. The sign wasn't telling you to wait for a person. It was teaching you to become ready for the kind of love that won't require you to lose yourself. That is the guidance. That is the lesson. And perhaps that is the beginning of your most beautiful chapter yet.